lovely good morning to you, the Camnet TV viewer. This is the breakfast show on Camnet TV, a program that comes to your set every morning where we talk about a lot of pertinent issues happening around in our country, and of course, allowing you, our guests, to just call us and make those contributions towards some of the topic we are discussing. In case you can be wondering why I'm saying you are our guest, whenever you watch Camnet TV, we are so grateful that you there is joining us. Just like those who join us here in studio, you are our guest, and we value you, we value your comment and your contributions to all the topics that we discuss on the show every time we come to your screen. So I am your host this morning, Prudence Chota, and we are going to directly dive into the health corner just to see the health tips that the doctors have for us this morning. So let's take a look at this.
Hi, welcome to the Health Corner here on the Breakfast Show on Camnet TV. I am Dr. Nyakwialamfaya. This week we are talking about hypertensive heart disease, and yesterday we were talking about some of the signs and symptoms of hypertensive heart disease. We say that some symptoms of hypertensive heart disease include chest pain, palpitations, or abnormal heart rhythm, and also swelling in the legs and back pain. So today we are going to talk about how is it diagnosed and also how is it treated in the hospital. So for people who have hypertension, and you already know that you have hypertension, most of the times you'll be taught, if you have any other symptoms like chest pain, you might be taught to do certain tests that can show to check if you have a problem with the heart, and these include things like echocardiogram, which is a scan for the heart to check whether the heart is functioning well, or if it's not functioning well, then you most likely have hypertensive heart disease. So the other test that can be done to show whether your heart is functioning well is an ECG, which can show whether the heart is really pumping blood well or not. So the other tests too that need to be done to check if the other organs of the body are functioning well, like the kidneys, the liver, and just the blood itself. How well is it? Is your HB okay, and are there any other signs of infection in the body? So these are some of the tests that can be done at the hospital. Then for the management of hypertensive heart disease, usually the goal of management is for you to be able to control your blood pressure. So you need to be on medication that helps to control the blood pressure, because that is the whole cause of the heart disease. So you need to control the blood pressure. So you'll be given medications that help to control blood pressure, and these medications are different and they vary. So depending on how well your body responds to one medication, you might be put on that medication, or you might be changed to another medication, depending on how well your body responds to it. So it's important that you get medications that have been prescribed to you from the hospital to be able to control the blood pressure. Also, it's important that you take your medications every day as prescribed, because this will help in the long run to prevent you from having further damage to the heart, and also further damage to other body organs as well. So the other thing that needs to be controlled when you have hypertensive heart disease is cholesterol. So if your cholesterol is not controlled by your diet, and you're taking in so much foods that have got high cholesterol or high in saturated fats, you might be put on certain medications that help to control your cholesterol. So it's very important that you take these medications as well. The other thing is that you might be given medications that help to prevent your blood from clotting, because when the blood clots for too long or too much, it can lead to having blockages in the heart. And when there are blockages in the heart, they might cause a myocardial infarction, which is a heart attack, and so many other heart complications that may arise from having blockages. So you might be put on medications as well that help to prevent blood from clotting too much, or to prevent the blood from clotting. So these are some of the medications that need to be given in the hospital for you to be able to manage or treat the blood pressure or the hypertensive heart disease. So there are other things as well that you can do at home for you to be able to manage this condition well. And we'll talk about the lifestyle modifications that you need to do at home for you to be able to manage the hypertension and also prevent yourself from having hypertensive heart disease, or if you already have hypertensive heart disease, to be able to reduce the symptoms or the progression of this disease. So tomorrow we'll talk about how you can live a healthier lifestyle to prevent yourself from having these complications, and also prevent these complications. And if you do not have hypertension or you do not have hypertensive heart disease, then you can still implement these lifestyle changes to be able to prevent yourself from having hypertension and so many other lifestyle diseases as well. So today we are learning that hypertensive heart disease can be treated in the hospital with some medications that are given, mostly to reduce the blood pressure and to keep the blood pressure under control. And also to reduce the cholesterol if you have high cholesterol in the body, and to prevent blood from clotting, because as the blood clots, it can lead to blockages in certain parts of the blood vessels, especially the vessels of the heart. So this has been the topic for today. I do hope you have learned something. If you haven't learned anything, make sure you get this, that you need to take your blood pressure medications, because it's important to prevent yourself from having so many complications, including hypertensive heart disease. Thank you so much for watching.
There you have it. That was the health tip from our doctor. She was talking about hypertension, and if you do have hypertension, what is it that you can do, or how will it be treated when you go to health facilities? Remember, hypertension cannot be cured, but it can be treated if you are living with hypertension, to ensure that you don't get regular attacks, because we do see sometimes people with hypertension or BP, in short, when you go to the hospital, you don't even sometimes know to say your hypertension is high. Then you go to the hospital, suddenly you are being told your BP is too high. So at the moment we can't work on you, so try to sit, relax, do other things. Like they try to work on you, give you some, I don't know, medication to lower your BP. Then afterwards the doctors can proceed to see you. So hypertension is something that we are potential carriers, or potential threat, potential, what do you call it? They say if you are not, you don't have the virus, then you are affected in one way or the other. So every one of us is a potential victim of hypertension. So let's just abide to some of the tips that the doctors give us on Health Corner, so that we can live a healthy life. Remember, a healthy nation relies on a healthy people. Talking about a healthy nation, let's try to just look at how is it that our money market is performing against other major convertibles. How health is our economy. We did see the Monetary Policy Committee on Wednesday this week increased the policy rate by 100 basis points to 11% from 10% that was recorded in the third quarter of 2023. We also saw the statutory reserve ratio being increased by 2.5 percentage point to 17% from 14.5. That was recorded earlier in this month. We did see the bank revise the statutory reserve ratio upwards, but again they've gone ahead to do that. So what does that mean for our economy? I know you can't be asking those questions. I'm going to explain just a little bit, but right about now let's look at how is it that our local currency is performing against other major competitors. As of today, Friday, the 24th of November at 07:25 hours, the Zambian kwacha against the Great British Pound. This is really scary. If you see your local currency trading at around 30 kwacha to 1 Great British Pound, then you know something is not right. Your currency is 30% weaker than the Great British Pound. So there it's buying at 29 kwacha 15 ingwe and selling at 29 kwacha 75 ingwe. The Zambian kwacha against the euro is buying at 25 kwacha 34 ngwe and selling at 25 kwacha 84 ngwe. The Zambian kwacha against the South African rand, they are buying at 1 kwacha 24 ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha 26 ngwe. The Zambian kwacha against the United States dollar, there is buying at 23 kwacha 24 ngwe and selling at 23 kwacha 17 ngwe. So that is the money market for today, Friday, the 24th of November, as at 07:25 hours. The Zambia against the Great British Pound is very worrying. If you look at that, it's almost close to 30 kwacha per 1 Great British Pound. And then against the US dollar, there are 23 kwacha 24 ngwe, selling at 23 kwacha 17 ngwe. This, if not, for lack of a better word, the highest we've recorded since 2021 when it comes to our local currency in the history of Zambia. I know under the Patriotic Front administration prior to the 2021 general election, we did see actually the Zambian kwacha reach 23 kwacha. I think 17 ngwe, somewhere there. That's the trend as it is right now. And that was the most we have been affected in a long time. We have never seen our local currency reach to those levels, but we are seeing just that happening. So you know there is already inflation pressure that is happening in the country. If you talk about inflation every day, government, whatever interventions they are putting in place, they are just saying now it's because of inflation. We see inflation, inflation. So maybe just to break it down a little bit, inflation is just a measure of the movement in the price of commodities over a given period of time. So between last year, if you look at last year and this year, if you say annual inflation rate, they are meaning the rate at which the prices of goods and services in the country is going up. So government has set up a target to say they want to see the price at least be between 6% and 8%. When it is above that, it means it is not good for the economy because what they projected is not happening, and this is what has been happening. So the movement in the price of commodity, not the price at which it is increasing, no, but the movement in the price of goods and services is increasing at what percentage? So we measure inflation using percentage. So between last year and today, the same period, you will realize that inflation has moved by about 12.7%. I think that's what we recorded. That was last month. So meaning the price movement in terms of price of food or goods and services has moved by 12.7% against the target of about 6 to 8%. So when you see inflation begin to go up, it means the rate at which the price of commodities is increasing is at that particular level. And most of the time you find that things become expensive for an ordinary Zambian. So in order to counter inflationary pressures, as well as the depreciation of the local currency, I'm sure you've seen kwacha has not been performing very well. The central bank's role is to contain what is happening in the economy. So the central bank comes in to put up interventions. And among some of the interventions that they've put up to slow down inflation as well as the depreciation of the Zambian kwacha is to increase the statutory reserve ratio. But when I talk about statutory reserve ratio, what does it mean? When we say no, the statutory reserve ratio, it means the reserve of financial service providers. These are the banks, the ones that give money to, you know, businesses. When you go to lend, they pump money in the economy. So instead of pumping that money into the economy, which is already having pressure because the kwacha is unattractive, we are that the kwacha has become unattractive. So now in order to, you know, lower the amount of money that is in the economy, government increases what they call the statutory reserve ratio to allow banks to reserve specific amount of money in their vault without allowing that money to be in the economy. Remember, kwacha is unattractive. Like your local currency is not performing well. Why? Because we are not exporting. We are so much dependent on import, and we are not having a lot of people investing dollars in the economy. So if your local currency is unattractive, people don't buy from you. So they are not buying your kwacha and putting in the dollar. Instead, the kwacha is just there. So there is no way you can keep pumping money in an economy when already the money that is there is not attractive. So what the banks does now is to say, okay, can you reserve some money, draw that money out of the economy and put it in a reserve for a particular time until maybe they say, okay, they've now lowered the reserve ratio. That money can be put into the economy so that the economy can grow. But at the moment, imagine the economy, already you have money, which is unattractive. You can't keep pumping money where there is unattractive money. So what the bank now does is they increase the statutory reserve ratio. Remember, they increased that first in February to about 11, was it 11.5? They increased with 2.5 from 9 to 11. Then in the third quarter this year, again, they increased to 14.5. They increased by 3%, and again, they've increased to 17.5, meaning they are removing money out of the economy and putting it in the reserves. The banks are putting it in the reserve somewhere. And then remember also festive seasons like December, Zambia imports a lot because we want to buy that present for your loved ones. So we begin to import a lot using the money that we have. So in order to counter the depreciation of the kwacha, and if your kwacha is not attractive, it will continue to depreciate and depreciate. So in order to slow down the rate at which our kwacha is depreciating, we remove some money from the economy and put it in the reserve and wait for the right time to have that money offloaded. So that's what the statutory reserve ratio means. But other economists have argued to say, in an already struggling economy like Zambia, where growth rate has been affected, there is no way you can continue removing money out of the economy in order to counter inflationary pressure as well as the depreciation of the Zambian kwacha. So this is where yesterday we did speak to economist Yusuf Dodia, who says there is need to focus on diversifying the economy if the Zambian kwacha is to gain value against the United States dollar. The central bank has, within a month, increased the statutory reserve ratio twice, from 14.5% to 17%, effective November 27th, 2023, for both local and foreign currency deposits, including government and virtual accounts. Mr. Dodia says the move by the central bank, if left to work in isolation, will yield to nothing. I'm sure why Mr. Dodia said that is, remember, we did increase the statutory reserve ratio in February, but it did not have an effect. We still saw kwacha depreciate. We went ahead to increase again for the second time. It did not work. The kwacha still depreciated. Inflation rate is still going up. So they've gone ahead to increase for the third time. So these are just, temporary measures. They don't offer a long-term solution to the challenges that we face. If we do not become a productive people, you and me, you watching me on the program this morning, if you do not become productive, if you do not start up that business, if you do not start adding value to the crop that you are producing, if we do not do something, the situation will begin to worsen. Regardless of what the government does, the decision has to start with you and me to at least do something, add value to that small business. You might not know, you might be the next trade kings. Export those products. That way you will be attracting more forex in the country. If you cannot do that business, perhaps maybe let's go into mining. People of God, we've got minerals everywhere, including maybe where you're seated there. That might be where Sojilite is. So please, if we cannot do other businesses, let's go into mining. You can become a small-scale miner, and you can start trading. You can sell your minerals and attract forex in the country. That's the only way we can improve our economy. But you may be wondering, becoming a miner, how is that even possible? We are going to just have some of those discussions later on in the program. We've been talking about this particular issue because we want to encourage you, to provoke a thought in you, for you to do something. But right about now, let's just see what Mr. Dodia said yesterday, even as we try to allow our guest in studio this morning.
Zambia's economy is highly dependent on mining and agriculture, But despite its abundant resources, growth has been insufficient to lift its young and growing population from poverty. The contractions in the mining and energy sectors have restrained economic growth, as evidenced by the continuous depreciation of the local currency. In trying to boost the kwacha's morale as it battles the US dollar, the Bank of Zambia has within the month of November increased the statutory reserve ratio twice from 11.5% to 14%, then to 17%, effective November 27, 2023, for both local and foreign currency deposits, including government and vostro accounts. However, New Heritage Party leader Chishala Kateka wonders why the central bank keeps on using the same policy decisions that have in the past failed to address the problem.
The concern by Bank of Zambia is understandable. However, it is the measures that have been taken that we as New Heritage Party are concerned with, because the government wants to grow this economy, but the measures they are putting in place are contractionary. They contract the economy. So what they are doing is actually going to hurt the nation more than what they think or they hope, because they've done this before, and it hasn't yielded results. So what makes them think doing it even more will yield the result?
Meanwhile, economist Yusuf Dodia also says it is only production that can revive the kwacha and the economy at large.
One of the big challenges we have is that Zambia's productivity is not registered in the Zambian economy. Very little of it is registered in the Zambian economy. What we are seeing about Zambia's productivity is the bakeries, the meat and farming produce which is sold domestically. Those are the ones we are recording. We are not recording the exports. The export earnings coming from the export of those products must come into a Zambian bank. That way we recapitalize our economy, we make sure there's enough dollars for anybody who wants to buy dollars is available, and it strengthens the kwacha, brings down inflation.
The Zambian kwacha has continued struggling against the US dollar, which on Thursday, November 23rd, was selling at 23 kwacha 63 ngwe. Vincent Piri for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
There you have it there. Madam Chishala Kateka adding a voice to economic issues that are happening around. Then we've also seen economist Yusuf Dodia equally giving us a perspective. There's something important that he's just said, where he says, you know, most of the time our economy just revolves around, you know, having butcheries, having bakeries and stuff like that. But we want even the export earnings to be banked here in Zambia. There's no way on earth we can have all these minerals, we can have all these people adding value, we can have all that happening, and whenever they sell their minerals, money goes in the banks in their countries. If we had to bank it here in Zambia, imagine they sell those dollars and you say, okay, the central bank here or the banks here are the ones that are going to hold that money. You can't externalize our money. Things could have been different because we could have been attracting all manner of currencies. The minerals that we have in Zambia, we sell them to different countries. We sell them to, you know, Britain, and we sell Great British Pound. They are almost 29 kwacha per 1 Great British Pound. So what that does is you sell to Britain, you have, you know, Great British Pound in your country, you sell to countries that are trading in dollars, you have dollars in your country lying in those banks. But that has not happened. But nonetheless, we did see in the 2024 national budget, I think there was a proposal that was done for banks or for, you know, these business people or businesses here in Zambia to start banking their resources here in the country. We are yet to see how that will be implemented going forward to 2024, but we're not going to stop making noise until we see what is being put in the budget actualized, because, you know, writing or putting up policies is another thing. Implementation remains poor, and this just reminds me of what the Bank of Zambia Governor Dr. Denny Kalyalia said on Wednesday when he announced the policy rate. He said, you know, the problem that we have, or why our economy is not flourishing, is because as a country we are good at formulating policies, but but implementation still remains poor. He even gave an example that sometimes we come up with good policies, you start the implementation, but in the middle somewhere you just decide to stop, again jump onto something else because maybe you've seen another neighbor is doing that. You decide to abandon that and take up another challenge. So that has been a contributing factor as to why the economy of Zambia has not been growing. Good policies, very well articulated on paper, but when it comes to implementation, it becomes an issue. So that is, of course, attributed to being one of the reasons why currently our economy is not growing. Then also remember, I did speak to the fact that the economy of Zambia has not been booming because we are not a productive country. If you cannot, start up a business or something, please let's get into mining. Mining. We are blessed with so many minerals in the country. It just has to take a step for you to start mining. When you have those minerals, you can export to other countries and make millions out of it, attract forex in the country. Talking about the mining sector itself, how can you be a small-scale miner, or who are these small-scale miners? Then we've got also words that we hear around where people talk about illegal miners. So the question that we are asking this morning as our topic is, who is an illegal miner? So I am in studio joined by the president of the Federation of Small-Scale Miners Association of Zambia, Pastor Joseph Mwansa. Sir, good morning.
Good morning, thank you.
Fine, thank you. It's good to have you on set again to discuss this wonderful topic. I know most of those who've been following us on the program almost every day, on a Friday like today, we do speak to the issues of mining because we want to see how is it that we can improve this particular sector. In as much as, Pastor, people are talking about the aspect of diversification where we have to diversify. We can't run away from the fact that mining is the backbone of the Zambian economy. And if we leave this sector untended or we don't talk about it, there's no way we are going to grow the sector. So if you're wondering why we always talk about mining on a Friday, is because we want to exhaust everything there is to improve mining, especially for the small-scale miners, because majority of small-scale miners in the country are Zambians who, when they sell their minerals, that money comes back into the economy, as opposed to the big giant ones, the ones we pay so much attention to. When they sell those minerals, their resources are externalized. The only thing they send in the country are the taxes that they pay. And if you've been following the performance of taxes, Pastor Mwansa, with ZRA, the contribution of the mining sector to the basket of the country has been very low, and they are attributing to a number of challenges. Among them, we know the challenges that they've laid out, meaning even the small tax that they have to pay, they are almost not paying it. But for small-scale miners, whenever they sell their minerals, that money comes into the country. So that's why we keep talking about this particular topic, and we want you to be a part of it by just calling, making those contributions and submissions on how we can improve this particular sector. So now we are moving to our discussion this morning, who is an illegal miner. So just to begin our interview, Pastor Mwansa, what qualifies one to be a miner? Before we even talk about who an illegal miner is and who is not an illegal miner, what qualifies one to be a miner?
When you discover some minerals in your mine, in your area or in your field, once you get all the documents that are required by the government, then you are qualified to be a miner.
So you just have to have a document and have a mine, or you cannot have a mine but you can still be a miner. I know sometimes people talk about you can just get a trading license. So is it just when you discover a mine that you become a miner, or you can even become a miner without having a mine?
There are two different things here. A trader and a miner. A trader is the person who gets a license for buying and selling. You can get a trading license and you can buy stones or minerals from a miner. A miner is a person that mines. So when you discover some minerals in your field, the first thing that you do is to go to the Ministry of Mines, and they'll give you the procedure how to go about it. Then you end up with ZEMA. From there, once you are given all the required documents, then you can begin to mine. When you produce, then you sell to a trader. A trader always waits to buy from the miners.
Interesting. Thank you for that clarification. Moving to today's topic of discussion, I know there's been a lot of talks around illegal mining in the country. So this now brings me to the question, when we talk about illegal mining, who is an illegal miner?
Everyone are potential illegal miners, including yourself. Even the Inspector General of Police, regardless being Inspector General, is a potential illegal miner. If he has a farm, I just want to use him as an example. If he has a farm and he finds some minerals in his farm, the moment you pick the stones out of the ground and you have it, automatically you become an illegal miner.
Just by picking it?
Yeah, because you don't have the license. The moment you get the stones, before you get the license, automatically you become an illegal miner. So everyone who have the farm, the field, or even before you have the field, you are a potential illegal miner. Unfortunately, we don't have find a license. You know, there must be a license which maybe the Ministry of Mines in future, they should start from tomorrow or today, after 10 minutes, they should introduce, if I find some minerals in my farm, before I go anywhere, or before I am arrested, I should first go and get the license, find a license, so that license, it will just help me to get my stones to the Ministry of Mines where I can get the license. Then from there I start the procedure. But without license, that license, in the process of me going to verify what are these stones, should I find a roadblock anywhere, if they said they find me with the stones, they will arrest me, being found with stones without a license. Have you seen?
Even if you've just picked it, you're trying maybe to come to Lusaka, to a geological department. Along the way or the roadblock, I am found with that stone. I'll be qualified as an illegal miner.
That's how it is. Oh. Because you don't have the papers. Even though you are the one who discovered the stones in your field, just the process from the ground to geological survey, that process, should they catch you on the way, you'll be considered as an illegal miner. And there are those illegal miners who just go into the bush to look for the stones without licenses. It's another categories, but illegal miner is in different categories.
Interesting there. So how is one supposed to react when they discover minerals on their property? Since you've talked about the fact that if you pick that particular stone, you become an illegal miner, and everyone is a potential illegal miner. So today I'm just moving in my field. I discover some stone that looks strange or stuff like that. How am I supposed to react? Am I just supposed to say, okay, let me leave this until I ask someone from the geological department to come and inspect whatever I found here?
And that's where the problem is, because in the police or act, they have not put anything which can protect you as a person who have found those minerals. So what happens is that you can make a decision, and unfortunately you cannot leave diamonds when you see them on your field. Definitely you get those diamonds to go and verify from geological survey, or maybe you find some people who knows the stones, just to get the information what you have. But if you don't have license, should they catch you, then you are in trouble. So I think there must be something in the policy which protect the people that found the stones, and how they can move this with the stones should they find the stones in their field. There must be a law that protects them and that guides them from being called an illegal miner.
Interesting there. There's just something that I'm trying to look at that I want to read before I can ask this question, or maybe let me ask this question, then I'm just going to just go to something. So you've talked about the fact that there are no these laws that protect these particular people, but maybe the question that we are asking is, do you think illegal mining here in Zambia is being targeted at wrong people? I asked this because it drives me to what happened just last week. Was it last week or the other week, where the Zambia Revenue Authority unearthed an alleged non-disclosure gemstone operation in Lufanyama. So the Zambia Revenue Authority instituted a search operation at Tumbombesha Mining Limited premises in Lufanyama based on comparing gemstone operation and potential tax evasion. Let me jump the second paragraph and go to the third one. The search yielded significant discoveries pointing towards inconsistencies in reported production and actual gemstone operation. Initial findings indicate the possibility of active gemstone extraction not accurately declared to ZRA, contrary to the company's filing of minerals or zero return, like they've been filing nominal or zero returns. The collected evidence included financial records, production logs, auction documentation, undercover operational reports, correspondence, and witness statement. These findings strongly suggest potential non-compliance with tax regulations and unauthorized gemstone auction. So they did even show us some of the pictures that came from there. And we saw some of the stones. You could see when you look at it closely to say there was gemstone in this. But this particular company was saying they're mining, you know, whatever, but there was also gemstone mining that was happening, including it being auctioning. Which brings me to the question, is it that maybe we've focused so much on our own people that sometimes the ones who are doing other illegal mining are not being targeted? I'm not trying to, you know, sound like I don't like the investors that we have. They are our friends. But of course, even if you go to Eastern Province, you agree with me that we have an infiltration of our friends coming from outside who are buying minerals. And you hear nothing about them even being arrested. It's once in maybe a long time. But for local people, almost all the time, you hear this particular person has been arrested for illegal mining and this, which has now brought me to this question to say, do you think illegal mining is currently being targeted at the wrong people?
I think because when you look at the way we live in Zambia as local people, we interact with different people. So it's easy for even the government to be bumping into their own citizen rather than the foreigners. And that's why I think maybe we feel that they target the local ones. But because we are interacting with almost each and every person, so it's easier for you to be a victim, rather than, you know, these are foreigners who are doing things so hiding. They're kind of people that like doing things in an hiding way. And for the ZRI to bump in them is because I believe they might have got the information. If they didn't get the information, they were not going to go and search in their premises. They might have received information from whistleblowers. Now, when they got that information, they did not delay. They went to search and they find whatever they found is because these people, they have been honest. And every person who's honest, or definitely the ZRA, they will be on them. But when you look at Zambian people, even though sometimes we are treated unfairly, whatever we spend, whatever we make, it will still remain here in Zambia. There are many, many foreign investors who are not declaring whatever they produce. Most of them, they are smuggling. Like when it comes to Swidilite. What are they doing with Swidilite? Definitely they are smuggling because of the ban which is there now. Otherwise, I would say the government, through the ZRI, they did their work in a professional way. And they did what is right. It's not that they targeted that individual company or individual person, but because they got the information. The ZRI who are there now, they are very professional, and we appreciate the work that they are doing. They are very professional people who are engaging almost every person, and they are able to explain what they are doing and what we should do. So at least we are being informed. So we give them a credit for what they are doing. They are very friendly. They want to see that each and every person comply, and they are friendly. That's a good part of the ZRA of today.
Do you think maybe ZRA is doing enough to inspect what is happening in these mines that are owned by foreign nationals? Because even the one we gave an example actually is owned by a Chinese national, where they found that there was this illegality that is happening. But because maybe we think these ones can't break the law unless maybe if it is our own local people. So maybe do you think ZRA is doing enough inspections in this mining just to look at compliance levels, especially the ones that are owned maybe by both the local people and the foreign nationals?
They are building up as an institution. You can't just be inspecting each and every person. You begin to scare the investors. So I think it's up to us as local people also to become whistleblowers. When you see something wrong in these investors, you have to report to the Federation of Small-Scale Miners or to the ZRI. Then they'll act based on the information that they get. But it's not easy for them just to start, going through the each and every company to know exactly what they are doing. But of course, when they see that the records that these companies are submitting are inaccurate, from there, they'll begin to suspect this company. And it's from that point that they'll begin to go from one company to another just to see how they are doing in a friendly way. Otherwise, they are not going to be forceful and violate the law. They work within the law. When they visit you, it means they might have information which give them access to come and approach you. And the way they are doing the work, I think they are very professional. They are not harassing anyone. They are doing their work in a professional way. And we recommend them for that.
Including the Zambia police? When they confiscate Sojilite trucks, wow, those doing the actual minings, we don't even hear anything about them.
The police is different. 3-4 weeks ago, my citron, which came from my mine, was detained at Sanfia police station. It stayed 3 days, regardless of having all the papers. For some reason, they could not release the truck, and you have to complain to the headquarters. That's when they released the truck.
Is it because you are a local person? This is why I asked to say, do you think sometimes there's discrimination against our own people because this black person is trying to export this? Maybe if it was a white person, it could have not been detained for 3 days.
It all depends, again, I would say it depends the people that you find on the roadblock.
But you had all the documentation.
Yes, some reason, I don't know why they opted to detain my truck for 3 days, and my workers were there for 3 days. And again, it was detained in Kawi. It took the headquarters for those trucks to be released. Regardless of phoning this policemen, they were unable to release the truck for some reason which I don't know. I think that is lack of professionalism. And such kind of people, they should check on them. And if there is any disciplinary whatever, they must discipline them for not acting in a professional way.
Maybe
Definitely. Now it's difficult for a pastor to,
Let's move to Luapula province and other parts of the country that we now know are potential Sojilite holders. And at the moment, we know there is this ban that has been put on the export of Sojilite, including its mining. But what is interesting, Pastor Mwansa, is that Sojilite is not an alone mineral. It is a byproduct of manganese. So while we understand these particular facts and the issue of government banning the export or the mining of Sojilite, how are manganese miners supposed to deal with this particular issue? Because if I have a license to mine manganese and then I'm mining manganese, Sojilite is a byproduct of manganese. How are these people reacting towards that? Are they leaving Sojilite to say we are going to wait until the time government is going to give us permission, then we are going to come back in our fields and pick the Sojilite? Just try to give us an understanding of what is happening at this particular time.
It's a very hot issue at the moment. And just to give you a background of Sweet Light, maybe people, they may be asking, what is this commodity? What are they using for? Sweet Light, it was discovered in 1944 in Japan, one of the village, by the name called Kenichi Suiji. That's where the name came from.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was discovered in Japan. Then it's from there that the name changed. It became Sweet Light. And Sweet Light, they use for, according to the Japanese and Asian people, they use for healing, and they say it always removes stress out of you, and it brings forgiveness, and also it creates positive thinking. That's what they use. At the same time, you can use Sweet Light for bracelet. It doesn't have facet in it. When I say facet in it, it means it doesn't have transparent. It is in caption form. They use it as they use for bracelet, and one of the actresses in US used the Sweet Light bracelet, and she won a competition that took place in 2013. And the Sweet Light is not only being discovered in Japan, it was also discovered in South Africa, and it is called Was Light because it was discovered in Warsaw.
Okay.
So that is another name of Sweet Light, is Was Light. It is also called Love Light. So it has about 4 names.
We should also give it Wapo Lights.
Yes, you
because
can.
we discovered it in Wapula.
Yes.
Why can't we also have Wapo Lights from Zambia?
So that is the background of Sweet Light. And when you look at this, lithium and the Sweet Light are 2 different commodities. This one, they use it for batteries. Then Sweet Light, they use it for filling and for eating, and also for bracelet and for other gem, whatever connected to gemstone.
It has an emotional touch to it.
Yes. Now, when it comes to mining, Sweet Light, lithium, they are byproduct. When you say they are byproduct, it means they come together with manganese or aquamarine or tourmaline. Lithium come with the aquamarine, tourmaline, amethyst. Then Sweet Light come along with manganese. So it means you cannot separate the 2. But there are people who have the mine of manganese, and on the paper, Sweet Light is not indicated. So it means when you mine Sweet Light, again, at the same time, if you want to export, you can be called an illegal mine, even though it came from your mine. But because Sweet Light is not on your paper, on your license there is only manganese, but it's a byproduct. So, should you find Sweet Light, what do you do? Those are the questions, I think, which we should be asking maybe the government. Of course, I know there is a provision. You have to endorse whatever you find as a new find at your mine. You must endorse to the Ministry of Mines. Again, it's a process which takes some months. How I wish it can take about a day. So the biggest problem that we have, I think in our Zambia, in Africa and more, is that something that can be done in one day, it takes 1 month. And that's where we are wrong. A country which needs to recover economically, we must be fast in everything that we are doing.
Do you think maybe we need to realign the Ministry of Mines to ensure we invite more human resource in the ministry that is going to be handling these issues? I think maybe it's the issue of human resource and the capacity that they can, accommodate.
I think human labor, it's not enough at the Ministry of Mines. They need more people. Why should be something which can be done for 2 days take 2 months, take 3 months, take 1 month? I'll give you an example for just export. Are you aware that when you are exporting, you have to go through almost 7 places? If you are exporting the stones, you start from geological survey. From geological survey, you go to bank. From bank, you go to cadastre. From cadastre, you go to ZRA. ZRA, it will take 1 to 2 days. Then from there, you have to go to Ministry of Mines headquarters. It depends what they are doing. It can take 1 day or 2 days. Again from there, then finally you go to airport to clear through customs. And from there, if the system is down, you have to go another day. Once you get your material, you have to go to FedEx finally. So if you look at the process, it's about 4 or 5 days. Now, is there anyone who can wait in case you are, you want to travel and your ticket maybe is saying tomorrow, then the export takes about 4 days. Should you wait? Maybe you have to do, you have some other things which are waiting for you maybe overseas. You can't, and these are the things which are creating corruption and smuggling, because we are not sensitive the way we approach issues in our country. Our economy need to recover. So it means the attitude should change in our offices. Something that should be done for 1 day should be 1 day. Why should export be done in 4 days? Well, in these other countries, 1 day. So it means we are delaying the recovery of economy. And we have to change in those areas.
Very interesting, Pastor Mansa. This is the Camnet TV breakfast show here on a Friday, Business for Breakfast, where we are discussing who are illegal miners and a lot of pertinent issues in the mining sector. We need to grow with the growth of the economy. I know the Bank of Zambia last Wednesday did indicate that in the fourth quarter of 2023, they projected a growth rate of 4.3% from what they were projecting, which was 2.7. And the question we are asking is, where is this growth rate coming from? But remember, as the economy grows, you need to grow with the economy, and that can only happen when you take part in what is happening around. This is why we discuss this particular topic on a Friday, because we want to provoke a thought in you, our viewer, to also contribute to the Zambian economy. Of course, you have a question, just in case you have a question that you'd like to ask, our phone lines are open. You can call those numbers on the screen and we can get to interact on the topic that we are discussing this morning. So in studio, I am joined by the president of the Federation of Small-Scale Miners Association of Zambia, Pastor Joseph Mwanza, who's taking us through the topic that we are discussing this morning. Pastor Mwanza, let me just come to you. I know you didn't really answer the question that I asked with regards to how manganese miners at the moment are treating the aspect of sugilite. I don't know, as members of your federation, if you have people who are dealing in manganese mining, and you've mentioned that manganese has a byproduct, sugilite, pardon me, is a byproduct of manganese. So now that there is a ban, at the moment, what is happening? Are they exporting it together with manganese, where they just declare that it's just manganese, or they are removing sugilite and they are just leaving it there on the ground or somewhere?
What is happening at the moment, the government is losing. Because people, they are smuggling. You can't mine sugilite, you know that it's a hot cake, and you just keep it or throw it away. They are doing everything possible to smuggle. And the people who are losing are the government of today, because it has taken long. They should have looked into it seriously and protect what we have now, rather than allowing people to smuggle. When people smuggle the gemstone, it means that the people who are losing is not only the government. Who are the government? It is us. So it means us, we are losing. The hospital is losing. Schools are losing, because that is the money that we are supposed to raise to invest in these different institutions. And there's no way a miner can just be waiting for the government to make a decision after 6 months. 6 months up to now, the government, they have not made any decision concerning sugilite. So what is going on is that they have allowed people to begin to think of what they can do. in order for them to sell those materials. And you can see our borders are very loose. So these people, they are smuggling, and it's not good for our country. We need every coin. It's my prayer that the people that are in charge to look in the policies, they should be quick and come up with the solution, how they can handle these commodities. Because those people who are mining manganese, manganese come together with sweetlite, and manganese and sweetlite are different. You can say this is sweetlite, this is manganese, but they come together. So when they find sweetlite, according to them, this is a hot cake. Immediately, they'll find a way to sell. There are many illegal miners who are moving up and down, buying the stones and smuggling. Who are losing? It is you and me and the government. Who are the government? It comes back to us. So we are losing. We are giving away the money that we should have used in hospital and some other things. We are giving people to smuggle, and they sell, make money out there. We are supposed to be fast. The government should come up with a quick solution concerning sweetlite. Should we say that the government made a mistake by banning? No. They did well to ban because they didn't know about this material. It was a new material. Any person, any minister can, in any country, can act the way our minister acted. He did well to ban the export of lithium and the sweetlite because they wanted to find out the market, the prices, and they wanted to know these new products which has come into the market. They wanted to know the nature and how they can handle it. But again, anything that goes beyond, it becomes a problem. It is beyond. It has taken time. The miners cannot wait. For example, you are having lithium at your mine, maybe 100 tons. Will those called, again we come back to illegal miners, we will just be looking at those tons at your mine. They will do everything possible to go and steal. So it means you'll be at risk by keeping those tons. So it is not good for our country, it is not good for the miners. We must come up with the solution. Again, I will take you back. I said something that can be done for 1 month in Africa, in Zambia, it takes years. It takes months. Something that can be done in 2 weeks. Why should it be taken 2 months? Why should it be taken 4 months? You see, it's a setup of African way. That's why our development always, you know, we delay when it comes to development.
The development is always dragging, just like the way we drag when it comes to the formulating of policy.
Yes. You can look even at the Minister of Lands when you are getting a title deed. Something that can be taken for 1 week, it takes months.
Yes.
So for you to get it fast, it means you have to engage yourself in corruption. Corruption are created because of the way we handle things.
The systems.
The systems. And we are comfortable with these wrong systems. We are comfortable with this wrong system. We like seeing people, you go there, you want to get something, they tell you tomorrow. Tomorrow, next week. Something that can be done in 2 months. Why is it that China is doing well? Chinese are fast in everything. They are quick in everything. They are people who understand time. We don't respect time in Africa.
That's why even at meetings we come late.
Yes.
The meeting you are supposed to be at 9 hours, you're coming at 10:30.
You go to weddings. They said it's 20 hours. It will be 22 hours. We are conditioned in that way. We have no respect for time. The Western, they say time is money. But African, we don't understand that. We need to reduce certain things that should happen in 1 month. We should reduce it to 1 week. Once we do that, we will see progress everywhere. Economically, Zambia is almost sick. So we have to change a lot of things in order to see things moving. The government, they have to change a lot of things. Something that should be done for 1 week, it should be 1 week, not 2 months, not 3 months. You can see Zema, it was taken 3 years, 2 years, 1 year. But because His Excellency talked about, but this time the Zema, they are doing very good. They are doing very good now.
There is an improvement there.
Yes.
Maybe, do you think the aspect of the focus as a country, we pay so much focus and attention on, maybe it is the mining sector, I can say, on copper, that we've really not paid so much attention on other minerals? Can that really be a reason why even up to now we are failing to come up with decisions when it comes to issues to do with sodalite, lithium and other things? Do you think this focus we have too much on copper has been a limiting factor? Because everything we hear is copper. If you talk about, you know, export, whenever copper, there is a challenge in copper production, including the forex that comes in the country, we just see a slight, this huge drop in everything. So do you think maybe this too much focus on copper is bringing us to our knees as a country?
I think in the past we were conditioned in that to think more about copper, because copper is what was feeding Zambia. And as you know that from beginning, most of the people, they were working in copper mines, and everyone, they can only talk about copper because that is something that they knew. But of course there are these other minerals which we don't even talk about, which can contribute to our nation. As of now, I can see some improvement because the government, they are trying to formalize the sector in all angles, in all areas. So now it's not just copper. There are other minerals that the government are focusing on, and I can see some improvement. They are trying that this time they are engaging almost everyone who's involved in the sector, and we give them credit for that. They are trying. They are not yet there, but at least they are trying better than before. So the approach that they are taking now, I think we will see a lot of improvement in all areas. It's not just about copper. There are emeralds, green tourmalines, aquamarines, garnets, amethyst, citrine, even rubies we have in Zambia, and there are some other minerals which we have not yet discovered. As we go on, we'll begin to discover new minerals, especially the mapping which is going on. They are doing the mapping, the whole nation, and geological mapping and the surveying. The geologists are doing some work. I think at the end of the day, we'll begin to discover some new minerals in our nation, and that will put on advantage. We have almost everything that we need to recover our economy. It's just the system. Once the system is changed and they begin to do what is right, I think we will see our economy recovering. We are not a country that cannot recover. We are a country that can recover. We should never be cheated that Zambia is one of the poorest countries. Zambia is one of the most richest countries in the world. But it's just the way we handle things, that's where we are wrong. But the way things are happening now, we can see that there is a bit of improvement and we are going in the right direction. Eventually, we'll be there. Eventually, we will recover economically.
Let's talk about the pricing of minerals on the international market. I know there is a tendency, not just for copper, but other minerals where we usually see price fluctuation. So this particular delay that we've seen from the government, how do you think it is affecting the pricing of these commodities on the international market?
The prices has no guarantee. When the prices are on top of the mountain, that's a time to get the money. Because anytime the prices can go down. Because what the Chinese are doing now, they are buying lithium from different countries and from Zambia. Even though we have banned, but they are finding ways to buy. So what they are doing, they will keep on powering. When they have enough, they'll stop buying. So what will happen? The price will come down. So this is the right time for us to get the money from the commodity that we have. Even sodalite, at one point the price will go down. We have seen emerald, the price go up, and we have seen the emerald price go down. every gemstone and even copper, we have seen copper. At one point, the copper is high. For some reason, you see the copper is going down. When the price is high, that's a time to begin to sell your commodities. But for us, it's like we don't understand the season that we are in. Sometimes you can delay to sell what you have. If you delay to sell what you have at a time when the price is high, then expect to sell at a loss. So the people who are keeping Switzerland, if they are keeping, I doubt if they are keeping, and lithium, the time the market will go down, maybe that's the time they will lift up the ban, and if they were to sell, they will sell at a loss. So it's like we don't understand exactly how we should handle what we have. Even the government will lose. Because if this company makes losses, what will happen to the government? Will lose because they will not get the money which they are supposed to get the money. The time to sell our commodities now. Because lithium does not only come from Zambia. It comes from different countries. And this time it's a talk thing. Everyone is talking about battery. So each country would like to buy enough and to put in their reserve for a certain time. Yet, for us, we are keeping it. And we think if we keep it when the market is up, that's when we can sell. No, if this country which are supposed to buy the material, if they have enough, they will not buy. The price will go down. That's what it is. When the countries who are major buyers, especially China, if they have enough, they'll stop buying and the price will go down. So the time to sell is now.
I know we have quite a number of our colleagues, the ones you've talked about, the Chinese. I like the attitude that they have towards work. When they hear that in this particular place there is Sujilite, just a week after that, you'll find they are everywhere with these big cars going there, and you'll be wondering, what are we seeing a lot of these big cars coming in this particular area? And when they are done with the business in that particular area, you literally see no car even going there because they know they are done with business. But on the other part, Zambia will be saying, no, we are formulating policies to ensure that the mining of these minerals is being done in the right manner, which is, of course, the right thing, as you've actually mentioned. But maybe just to talk about also a little bit about the aspect of gold. We know there is this issue that has been happening, but maybe let's just talk about the part that ZCCMIH can play in ensuring the value for gold. I've mentioned this particular one because at the moment we've seen a lot of illegal gold mining that is happening around. A lot of illegal gold mining is happening around in the country. And ZCCMIH, which has been given the mandate to buy the gold, does not just seem to be mopping up what is happening in the economy. So how do you think ZCCMIH should go about handling this gold issue to ensure that illegal gold mining is curtailed?
ZCCM can't match the illegal miners because the illegal miners are almost everywhere, every village. But you see the ZCCM, they are just in certain positions, certain places where they can buy the commodities.
Is it that maybe the price they're giving us is not attractive?
That is another thing. Number one is that they are not everywhere. And these villagers, when they find some gold, they would want to sell and buy some food and buy some other things. And you find that when they find the gold, the ZCCM, they are not there. So they cannot travel from the village where they find the gold to where the ZCCM, because just the distance, it's another thing. At the same time, illegal buyers, they have higher price than the ZCCM. So that become a problem. It is something that the ZCCM, the government, they include us as the federation. We can give them a very good advice how to manage. Because the problem is that when you claim to know what you don't know, at the end, you will discover that indeed you don't know exactly what you are doing. So most of the time, they engage into something that they don't know. Before you go into something, consult the people who understand what you want to engage into. We understand this industry very well because we are on the ground. The ZCCM, they do not understand the industry very well. They were supposed to consult us. We are supposed to give them the right information, how to approach. Because the people they call the illegal miners, our people. They know us, we know them. They understand us, we understand them. So it is easy for us to advise the ZCCM how to go about. But what do? They go into the field which they don't know. It's like you are in a war zone. You don't know this particular area, and you just go blind. What will happen? You'll be ambushed. So the ZCCM, they have to come up with a certain pattern which can work for them. Otherwise, they cannot match with the illegal miners. The illegal miners, they are very sophisticated, or illegal buyers, they are very sophisticated people. Some of them, they come from Tanzania. Some of them, they come from Mozambique. Some of them, they come from Zimbabwe. And when you look at the price that they give, it's far better than the ZCCM. So do you expect a person who gets the commodities would go for a lower price? No, we'll go for a higher price. So this is something that is very complicated, but eventually will be there. Eventually the ZCCM will find a platform where they can do things accordingly.
It's actually really sad, because I know we've lost quite a number of grams of gold that could have been even in reserve. We now have what we are calling the gold reserves. I think the rate at which our gold reserves have grown, and looking at how much gold we have, the fact that we've even discovered more gold in Northern Province, Mpika, and other places there in Shiwangandu. I know there's quite a number of gold mining that is happening there. Looking at how much is coming out, I think we could have been done better as a country in terms of how much gold reserves we have at this particular time. But that, of course, is not happening, because you've alluded to the fact that the price that is being offered for these minerals is not tantamount or tarrying with what the buyers, black buyers on the black market, are offering the people in the country. Maybe just an addition to this, as we come to the dying end of the program, an addition to the gold mining in the country, do you think maybe there are some rules that government should attach to where you're supposed to sell the gold? Will that also allow government to just get something out of what is on the market? Because the way we've left it open, it's like we've just left it open for everyone to just come in and, to buy. And then on Sujilite, we are coming up with these strategies of how it should be mined. But on gold, we didn't see that. So do you think maybe somehow government should put a restriction on who is supposed to buy gold?
Not really, because gold is found almost everywhere. It is sad
so is manganese, and where there is manganese, there is Sujilites.
These are two different commodities. And when you go, it's sad that if you were to go to ZRA, you go and ask them how much they have raised from gold. You'll be surprised if they were to mention the figure. It's very little if you compare with what the nation is producing countrywide. Go to geological survey. How many people have been exporting? Very few people are exporting. Why? Because they have not yet come up with the system which can work for both local ones and those who are buyers and the government themselves. That's where the problem is. But when you look at manganese because those they come out in quantity, especially manganese, it's easy to control. You can come up with a strategy. It's quite easy. Even lithium, you can control them. We are told when we had a meeting with the PS, the government are planning that they should partner with whoever is mining lithium, which is a very good thing. Maybe they should partner 50-50 or whatever percentage that they shall put. If you have that commodities, then you have to partner with the government. For lithium, yes, I agree. It can work well with the government because it's a quantity, and again, it will work for the batteries. But for Sujilite, it's a gem quality. It's not something that the government should go into in partnership, because Kaunda tried before to begin to buy the emeralds. What happened? At the end, they lost the money. They didn't make a profit. But for lithium, they'll manage and they'll do well. And the advantage is that the money will still remain in the country. We should look at what we will remain with. If a local person has a mine, I am glad, because whatever he sells, it will still come back to our nation. So when you look at gold, it's a different commodities. And gold, it's like mushroom almost everywhere. In your garden, you can find gold. Now, if you find gold in your garden, what do? Are you going to throw it? Definitely you find a legal buyer who will buy from you. At the end, you as a local person will benefit, the government will lose, the legal buyer will benefit because these commodities will not be, it will not pass through the ZRA and the geological survey. It will go via some other countries that I can't mention. And that's what is happening. If you were to go to Ministry of Mines, find the records which are there. But of course, the government are doing everything possible to formalize the sector. The director of Ministry of Mines is busy going through the villages, forming some cooperatives, which is a very, very positive thing that we have seen from the government. At least they are trying. We just need to help them because we are Zambians. They have to engage us and we help them because we cannot just sit down and continue complaining and blaming the government. This work is not only for the government, it's the work for each and every Zambian. So each one of us, we must be loyal to the government. Who are the government? It's us. We have to be vigilant. We should not leave everything in the hands of the government and we continue complaining, stoning the government this, the government that. I think it's time that we get involved and help the government. When we help the government, we are helping ourselves. The money that the government will make, the money that the government will make, it will still come back to us. We'll spend in the Lord's. You know, mending those potholes. It's through the millions that God has given us. We can raise money from that. So it means even you should be responsible. When you see some illegal activities with these people whom you don't know where they are coming from, you should report to us. Then we inform the government. Again, there are times that we inform the people from the government, those institutions. We do inform them, they do nothing. So sometimes we just allow them like that. When we get the information, we do inform them. But if we do inform them and they don't do anything, what do? They have to change also in those areas. When we inform them, they should act. That's what it is.
Thank you so much. I was almost asking that question to say, as we come to the end, what is your word to the Zambian people? I know we've talked so much about government playing their part, but even as a Zambian citizen, how is it that we can play our part? But I know you've tackled that. So maybe just to sum up the topic of discussion this morning.
I would say that we should not leave everything to the government and blaming the government. We should begin to involve ourselves, help the government. When we help the government, we are not just helping the government, we are helping ourselves. Because whatever the ZRA we will raise from different angles, it will still work in our nation. It is time that we should become vigilant as people of Zambia, work together in all sectors, and help our people to benefit from what we have. And it's my prayer that the government, they should empower the people of Zambia. Many Zambians should engage into mining and let the Zambian begin to export and bring back the money into the country. When you have too many Zambians who are exporting, you will see the flow of forex in our country because the money will come back. If you have few Zambians who are exporting, then we have a problem because most of the people have mines, especially big mines. They're not Zambians. So whatever they get, they take it back to their countries. What they bring, it's almost changed. And it's not tangible into our nation. It's not making anything into our nation because it's not our money. We need to concentrate to empower our local ones, help them to develop from small-scale miners to large-scale miners, from artisanal to small-scale miners. If we can manage to do that, then we'll see everything begin to change in our country. Economically, definitely will recover.
Zambian people need to wake up.
Yes.
As it the reason why we would say we are almost 60 years after independence and we are still called a poor nation is because of such issues. We don't want our own people to participate in this, and we don't want us as a people to also take up the challenge to participate and export. We think this is just for, it's not ours. the mines are not ours, the minerals are not ours, they are for those who come from outside who've got the money. But I like the part where you've said actually we need to take part, because whatever we sell, be guaranteed that that will be retained back into the Zambian economy, as opposed to the other part where our friends sell the minerals and send the change back to the country where it is mined. Despite all the challenges that comes with it, Pastor Mansaya, some of the houses get demolished, damaged in the process of people mining. The environment gets contaminated, and all we receive at the end is just change, while that money goes to improve other people's economy. So it is a wake-up call for you, the Zambian people, for you and me, to also take part in the development of this country by ensuring that we become miners, by participating in mining. It's not just agriculture, you can still do agriculture, at the same time you can still do mining, because we are all going back to the soil. So this has been your host for this morning, Prudence Chota. To everyone who's been accompanying us on different platforms on our Facebook page, thank you so much for following these particular programs. For those messages, we appreciate your viewership. So from me and the entire Camnet TV production team, it's bye for now, and God bless you.